something I'm a huge advocate of is, if you don't have a brand when you're in a business, or something that people can connect, an image with what you're selling,
Yeah.
there's no grounds for you, right? There's no traction.
I
You
have a
need,
question.
what's up?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
What would be your top 3 tips for people on building a brand? Because I think you have a really interesting perspective on it,
Thanks, man.
and yeah, just share it with me and with
Yeah.
everybody. I'm curious.
It's the first time I'm asked this actually. So, I'm going to give it my best shot here. But the three tips that I'd recommend. Um, First is be authentic, have good intentions. So whatever it is you're selling, whatever it is you're trying to endorse, um, be passionate about it. Um, be authentic about it. When I say that, what I'm trying to get at is I hate those ads that are targeted to me. I don't know why, but it's always
Yeah,
like make money in 6 months. I'll tell you how. Do you want to live like this? Whatever. It's so cringe, and it just doesn't make me want to invest any money at all. I don't care how desperate I am. It bothers me that someone's yelling at me to do something or trying to make me feel worse about myself. So having good intentions, having authenticity, having the goal of you want to improve, and again, I always use the term inspire someone's life to be better. This is why I'm into filmmaking, why I'm into storytelling. My brand, I started 94 Productions, is the whole intention is when you see the content, like when I made the content for you, I got that phone call like, buddy, I have no words. That's what I live for. That's what the brand is to sell. It goes to another level. I don't need a walkthrough video. I need something that it's going to make me think like, what I just watch. You know what I mean?
right, right.
Transcends
Changing
that.
perspectives.
Change
Yeah,
perspective, because I get a lot of, so for example, your industry, right? I get people contacting me like for real estate, and they say I want something different, I don't like these videos, and they show me examples. And while they're all like talented in their own right, there's great production companies doing their own thing. I think why people kind of are drawn to what I do is I treat it like I'm making like a movie. Take it from a personal place. The music, the score, the way the shots are conducted, how I position you in the camera, how I make you smile at certain shots. It's because I'm trying to make it personal for you. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make it inviting for the viewer. Like, this is what my house is about, and it's not supposed to be very dry. Like, okay, this is the kitchen, this is whatever. That's why in your video, I should mention, I added those little things in where you were like, I don't like that stove, it's crap, we're gonna throw it out. And then I did the fuzzy, because it's like it adds that humanity, right? And you were so honest when you said it that I'm like, I have to keep it. Like, it's you,
yeah,
that's your character. And I
yeah.
loved it. I was laughing when I was editing. I'm like, I have to put this in. This is great. Second tip, I should mention, is what I was touching on before, is passionate. And when I say passion, I mean have it tell a story. Um, have it like your brand must be associated. What I'm saying is, when I watch Tarantino, for example, like Tarantino's brand, his name, for instance, I connect it to the rebel, the guy that he doesn't have a film school. He's not he had no direction on where he was going in his life, but he had one thing, and that was passion for movies. So when I
Yeah.
watch his movies, when I see his stories, and I see the characters that he creates, and I you know see how everything unfolds, I always connect it back to, this is the guy with the vision, this is the guy with the imagination, right? The rebel that does it his own way. For example, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's a scene where we live in cancel culture and feminists and things like that. And not that I'm advocating violence against women, but it was very interesting to see um, a young woman getting mauled by a dog, right? And it was just unedited, and it was raw. Like, it was on the scene for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that movie, right? And a lot of people in the film community uh, had high praise for that, because again, it connects back to his brand. Like, he's not going to give you anything less, right? So I think it should have a good story, and connected with that passion. And the third tip for creating a great brand is, I would say, I always say this term like legacy. I always throw around this term like leave behind a legacy. And what I mean by that is, whenever I do something, I'm always thinking long term. I'm never thinking like, this is going to help me like in 2 months. This is going to help me for a lifetime. And this connects back to have a badass logo. And people might say, well, isn't that easy, or isn't that stupid? Whatever judgment you make, I find it incredibly important. That logo is your identity in the business. It's the first thing people see, and it's what people connect to. And it's not also the idea where you can just put it on anything and make it easily marketable. It's the idea that it connects to something, like what I'm looking at. Like that hat like if you're watching this YouTube video, guys, I'm staring at this logo on your head, that hat you're wearing. I immediately love it. Like I love the design. So curious how that came about. But I see it and I immediately connect with, you know, your brand and what it's trying to sell. You know what I mean? The legacy, what it's trying to leave, like with it, with this whole, there seems to be this, I don't know, I just see that brand, that logo, and I'm imagining like prestige and like luxury and, you know, professionalism. You know what I mean? Like you connect it to. So I think it's really important to have a solid visual aspect that will leave a legacy, leave something with the viewer, right? Like an impact. So those are my 3 tips. I'll articulate it more as I get better with this, but that's basically how I see why I study marketing for the most part, and why I pursued this kind of creative venture, this business, because those are what I live by. The idea that when people see my content, when people collaborate with me, they're getting this passion for storytelling. That's why I wanted to mention is, as a videographer, clients that I deal with, like I got a call the other day, and this woman was telling me like, I want you for a shoot because I could tell that you're in it for the story. You're not in it for the shots. You know what I mean? Like just get the shots and go home. You want to actually like tell the best story you can with that camera. And I think that connects always to a place that you should connect to with yourself, is who are you, who you really are, and who you want the world to see you as. And that's my take.
Amazing. Very concise. I like it. I agree with your points. I would add as well, I think it's especially, I think it's a little difficult, at least in your industry, because you're always behind the camera. But I
Yeah.
think having the personality of yours come through your brand, which you're doing through your podcast and the other content you're producing, I think that's so important as well. Like people want to connect with people before they invest in businesses. People do business with people. People don't do business with businesses, right?
Yeah.
And I've had some really great mentors in the past, and I'm currently working with an amazing real estate coach who's reiterated that to me, that people before they, it's interesting, I should say, a lot of followers, they typically are very silent for a very long time. They'll
Yeah.
watch your content, they'll consume it, they'll get value from it, they'll connect with you as an individual, they'll start to trust you, and what, your knowledge and your content, you've won some awards in your video, in your
Yeah.
short films.
Recently. Yeah.
Like
Thank you.
you've done some great work, and I'm sure
Hmm.
you have a lot of people that have been very intensely watching your stuff, but maybe haven't reached out to you yet. But there comes a point when you post something that's authentic enough, to your point, like that's the first point of building a brand, that involves you as a person.
Hmm.
That's going to be the straw that broke the camel's back, or that's going to be the tipping point for them to reach out to you and say, you know what, look, I really appreciate all that you've done, all the content, all the value. I think value is an overused word, but I'm just using it
But it's
arbitrarily.
true, man. That's the first thing we learn in marketing. What I just want to
Yeah.
say, touch on like the whole thing about value, and an example with, sorry, I just have to say this with
Yeah,
identity.
yeah.
You know, there was a point where I just wanted to be behind the camera. I just wanted to make my films and whatever. But I also said to myself, I'm pretty presentable in that I have a personality, and I'm very outgoing, and I feel like I have a lot of points that I can help. Because when I talk to friends or family, they'll tell me like, "Yo, you should like talk to people about this. Like, you're really articulate, or you have a really good message to say." Um, because I get a lot where like I come across very genuine, right, when I talk. And I said, you know what? I was watching some videos during the pandemic and about self-reflection and like how to become a better person. And I said, I could do this. Like I could talk to my audience. I could talk to people that are struggling. Like it doesn't always have to be about film, right? And then they connect it back to the brand of like, when you watch my movies or when you watch my content that I create, you see why I created that character that was struggling to be a filmmaker, or why that character felt like he never fit in, or why
Yeah.
that character, was judged by, everyone around him for pursuing something that was different. It always
Yeah.
it's like meta, right? Like you connect it back to like, oh my god, this is what he was talking about when he was doing his vlogs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's what I mean by like the power of having a solid brand, it becomes bigger than what you are.